Everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be doing a walkthrough of Titania on the extreme difficulty. Now, this isn't like my normal videos. I am doing a 24/7 broadcast over on Twitch. It's probably why my voice sounds a little bit hoarse and why I sound a little bit tired. So excuse me for the very just kind of blasé, way of doing this video. But I've had a lot of people ask me to go in depth on the Titania EX video that I posted the other day. So I figured since I can't make a guide for the next week, we'll just do this instead. But enough of me blabbering. Just gonna have some music playing while we talk about the fight. It's fairly easy. I think both Titania and the other EX Primal, or the EX Trial, will both be fairly safe to party find. Most groups can pick it up fairly quickly, and it's pretty forgivable, minus 1 or 2 mechanics. So as the abilities pop up, we'll just add some commentary for them and pause whenever absolutely necessary. Bright Sabbath, room-wide AoE. To be honest, always call it Black Sabbath because it's a way cooler name. I think the next ability is Phantom Rune. So Phantom Rune has 2 different animations. You can only know what the AoE is going to be based on the animation. You have a second to react if you don't remember which one, but if you're not far enough away, odds are you're not going to remember what, you're probably not getting out of the way. So Phantom Rune, when she summons her wings out like that, she kind of puffs herself out. That means it's going to be a point blank AoE. The other one is a donut AoE, and it's way more obvious than that one, so when we get to that, we'll point it out. Now, Mist Rune is one of the mechanics you'll want to discuss before you actually go into the fight. Lay down a marker, assign people positions around the marker, so that way you can designate one person for each of these 8 Mist Runes. You need one person in each of them in order to leave behind a water puddle, which you're going to be needing for the next mechanic. These water puddles give fire resistance up, and that's very important. If somebody misses a Mist Rune, it will summon an ad. You can kill the ad. It's not the end of the world. If you don't kill it fast enough, it will explode and will likely be a very bad time for you. Damage down and a ton of damage, plus you'll have 1 less puddle, which can really screw groups if you don't have the middle puddles. These 4 middle puddles are the most important ones for the entire encounter. Now, right after Mist Rune, regardless of the point of the fight, she's always going to summon a Fire Fist that is going to be doing 2 split damage AoEs, 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. It should target each of your healers. So I have 1 healer on the west side and 1 healer on the east side. Again, you can set up these groups. One thing that we actually did that I found that was very useful is we set up the room kind of split diagonally, where we had a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS on each side handling their Mist Runes. But as long as you discuss it before the fight, you shouldn't have any issues with this at all. It's just 2 split damage AoEs targeted at the healers. Divination Rune, hard-hitting tank buster. Doesn't require a swap, just hits really hard. So mitigate it and face it away from the group. Simple enough. Chain of Brambles. So this will chain each DPS to either a tank or a healer. General rule of thumb for the party finder is DPS will always bring their tethers south, and tanks and healers will always bring their tether north. Make sure you hover towards the center of the room whenever Chain of Brambles is casting. It is harder to break. It is harder to break if your partner is far away from you when it forms. So you want you and your partner to be very close to each other so it breaks easier. After the tether actually forms and you have the debuff, then you can run south in order to actually break it. But stay close towards the center of the room, and that'll matter a lot later. So this is the other animation for Phantom Rune. You can see I actually get hit by it. It's not lethal yet, but it does knock back, which is going to be playing an important role. So this is the other animation. For me, this one's way more obvious. The spinning staff, the actual circle that's in the middle. I just thought I was in it far enough, and apparently I wasn't. Now, that didn't matter there, but literally from this point on, if that hits you, you're dead. So just don't get hit by it. The point blank one doesn't knock you back. It actually hysterias you, so you run all around. And that's actually survivable at this point, after this point in the fight, but only using healer rescue, which I think we do have an example for in this footage. So the next thing, and this is one of the bigger mechanics, is a tether. Now this tether is going to place lightning resistance down, and you're going to see it spawns that little AoE around the person. Basically, you're not supposed to take 2 of these in a row, and you're supposed to pass it between party members, so that way it doesn't kill anyone. What we actually have done here is our off tank uses their tank invuln skill. They take the first hit, then they tank invuln and take 2 more hits, and then we have 3 other people take the tethers 1 at a time. You could theoretically use the other tank to tank invuln here, but we decided to use the other tank's invuln for another skill that Titania is going to be using. I highly recommend everyone that is not the tank taking this be south, so it's easy for the tank to grab this. In the footage here, you're seeing us do 1 healer, the second healer, and then myself is going to be grabbing it. You see we use chains 1, 2, and 3. You could have the main tank and the other 2 healers work on it. You can have 3 DPS do it. Whatever. Just get 3 people who you trust other than the off tank to do it. The 3 most trustworthy people should be handling that tether. Watch it one more time and just walk through it. So you can see this may tingle a bit, is the text that she uses to designate it. You can see we're all south. He grabs the tether off of us. Takes it to 1. You can go east or west with this, whatever you're more comfortable with. Takes the first one. Uses Superbolide, which always scares me every time, or Superbolide. Takes the second one. Takes the third one. Healer number 1 grabs it. He moves out of the way. They stand in the same spot. Healer number 1 gets hit. Healer number 2 grabs it. Takes it to the spot. I go and grab it. Everyone's away. 6th hit. Simple. You'll probably have to do that twice in the fight. So, you know, just be ready to do it twice. Phaelite is a split tank buster that hits 3 times. We actually use a tank, our other tank invuln skill on it right here. You're going to see our Dark Knight uses Living Dead. I believe Home Gang can actually eat both of the Phaelites that you'll probably encounter before the end of the fight. I'm not sure if Living Dead works, but we'll have some footage later in order to actually judge it. So the next attack is Growth Rune, and this will summon 2 vines that will gradually expand. You may remember them from normal mode. If they touch you, they will bind you, they will bleed you, and they will end you almost definitely. So what you basically do is you're going to get a chain of brambles at the same time right here. So you're going to need all your DPS going to the south side of the room, tanks healers going to the north side of the room. You want to look at the corner that has a vine growing out of it, so you can see that that corner right there, I know it dims a little bit on Twitch, that corner right there has the vine. So we want to go to the opposite south corner. So we're going to go southeast in this case. As soon as the chain forms, we all go, we break our tethers, and then we stand in this little safe spot right here. I've had a lot of people ask if it's safe to actually dash through. If you do it quickly enough, yes, it is safe to actually dash through those vines, but I've seen people get screwed by it at the same time. So be careful. If you're a little late, you may not want to do it, but hopefully you are breaking your tethers quick and then dashing back in. There's a Divination rune right after that. Make sure it doesn't hit anyone else, and simple enough. Tank buster. Frost rune is just ice circles. They spawn in a rotating pattern, always starting with the circle. You want to go towards where the last one is spawning, and then after the first one disappears, go back towards the center. If you get hit, you will get a Vuln stack. It will make this next hit, which is unavoidable, hurt a little bit more. After the Frost runes disappear, we didn't even assign these. We just started splitting up. This is a party finder group. This is not like a static or anything like that. But yeah, you see, we just said, okay, don't be near someone, moved away. There's no rhyme or reason except for that the melees got to stay in melee range. Phantom rune, this can be either an in or out, if I recall. Actually, I think that one's always in. I don't think they become random until after the ad phase. But always be ready whenever you see Phantom rune for either or. And I believe with that, we go into the ad phase. Now, our order for killing the ads is the ad to the east first, the ad to the north, and then the ad to the west. The ads to the west and the north must be tanked, so make sure you assign a tank to each of those. The other one, the one we're killing first, Mustard Seed, does not need a tank. He's just going to spam, conal AoEs at people that will knock you off the arena if they hit you. So don't let them hit you. Simple as that. Also, make sure the other 2 ads are being tanked away. None of these ads can be near each other or they will tether and it will be a bad time for you. So we all focus down Mustard Seed first. Simple enough. Nothing really to say about this. Make sure you don't stack the AoEs that are being aimed at people. Now, Puck here does have a tank buster called Pummel, and it will gradually add stacks of blunt resistance down. It hurts a lot, so you definitely want to make sure to be killing him second so he doesn't get too many stacks. This guy over here, Peace Blossom, he does have a tank buster. It is a cleave, and it hits really, really hard. So make sure you're mitigating the duration of tanking him, or it's going to be a bad time. Now, after you kill all 3 of them, Titania's power gauge, and during this I'm actually going to take a sip of water. My apologies. Figured I'd add a little break there. So we're going to be killing them in the same order here. They're way bigger, and all of their mechanics are way bigger too. As she says, bigger is better. So we're going to be starting on Mustard Seed here, and you're going to see why in a little bit. You're going to see spread damage AoEs. They're way bigger, but you just need to make sure that 2 of them don't overlap. And again, don't get hit by this Leaf Storm, all these conal AoEs. Stand between in the safe zones. So after those spread damage markers, we have a split damage marker. We stack it right in front of Mustard Seed, and we make sure to kill him. So the main reason why we're killing Mustard Seed first is he has an attack called Whispering Wind, where, excuse me, if it's damage is based on his remaining health. He'll still use it even if you kill him, but killing him first ensures that it doesn't do lethal damage to the party. Now, it is worth mentioning that Puck and Peace Blossom still need to be tanked during this. So tank should quickly go get aggro on Puck and Peace Blossom, 1 or 2 GCDs max, and then immediately go back to DPSing Mustard Seed to make sure he dies fast enough. After we deal with Mustard Seed, we're going to rotate over to Puck. And again, the tanks are taking auto attacks during all of this, so do not forget that. So this is one of the only 2 mechanics in the fight that might wipe groups, in my opinion. So each of them is going to do an attack. There's going to be a knockback from the center of the room. There's going to be vines aiming AoEs in 2 of the 4 corners opposite of each other. And there's going to be tethers on the 4 DPS, tethered to the tanks and the healers. So tethers, always south side of the room. So DPS, south side of the room, tanks, healers, north side of the room. Then go to the side of the room that's not being targeted by the vines. You can see right here that the vines are being aimed to the southwest, so the DPS are on the southeast. The vines on the north side are being aimed to the northeast, so the tanks and the healers went to the northwest. The knockback itself should be enough, and also don't stand dead center or we'll kill you. The knockback itself should be enough to break these vines, assuming people were in the right position. Now, earlier I mentioned that the vines need a minimum distance in order to break, and that distance increases if the players are farther away. So you really want everyone to be as close to the center without actually touching it as possible. Or you're going to have a situation where you're seeing that one person in our footage whose tether just can't break. They're tethered to a tank and they just die because every time it ticks without being broken, it adds a vuln stack, it deals damage. The DPS just not going to survive it. And if you're tethered to a healer, they probably won't survive it either. So you see we get knocked back. Also, there is the knockback from what's his name? From Mustard Seed over there. So don't get hit by that or you're dead too. We're still trying to kill Puck. Right after that, though, there is going to be 2 spread damage markers that need to stay away from the group, and a split damage marker that should be split by the remaining people in front of Peace Blossom. That's where we brought ours. We've been bringing our split damage marker to in front of Peace Blossom because Puck should be close to dead. If your DPS is slower, you may want to actually stack that in front of Puck as well. Our DPS was just high enough that we decided to stack it in front of Peace Blossom. You want to make sure you're basically guaranteeing as much uptime without risking people. You can even do it between them, but as long as it's a safe spot everyone agrees on, you should be okay. And at this point, we just need to make sure we finish killing Peace Blossom. Puck does do a fairly powerful room-wide AoE. It only did like 33,000 there, so as long as people aren't low on health, you should be safe. But just keep it in mind. Don't forget about that AoE damage coming out. And then if you don't kill them by then, you'll see there's another set of AoEs, another split damage marker, as well as another knockback that you need to avoid. And then after that, it's going to reach 100 and you're going to wipe. So then this happens, it's just some room-wide damage. And even though the ads are going to be peeking their heads out of the corners, you don't got to worry about them for the rest of the fight. At this point, there's just a few more things that you really need to be afraid of with Titania. Take another sip of water. This is probably the #1 thing. So I mentioned the vines earlier being one of the things that would wipe people. This is the single other spot where you're likely to get a group wiping. It is Mist Rune plus Phantom Rune plus Flame Rune. So when the Mist Rune comes out, your positions are still all the same as they were in Phase 1. However, there's going to be a Phantom Rune, which is randomly either the Donut AoE or the Point Blank AoE. Now, obviously, if people get hit by this, it's going to mean that there's water markers unaccounted for. So it's going to spawn an ad, and the ad can explode if you kill it too slow. But more importantly, these 4 water circles in the center, they are the most important part of this. Those all need to survive, because otherwise you're preying on either RNG or people being quick-witted enough to adjust to a situation in the party finder that you probably aren't going to want to rely on in a complete pug. So there's going to be a Flame Rune here, which are the 2 split damage AoEs, same groups as last time, but there's also going to be a Growth Rune, which were those vines that were expanding that would bind you in place before, and they can either be on the north and south, or they can be on the east and west. So because we're stacking on east and west, and you're going to see in this footage, if you get north-south Growth Runes, it's no different than it was in the earlier phase. Very, very simple. If you get east-west, then you have to rotate both groups clockwise. So if those were east and west, then our group right now would be moving to the south water puddle, and the west group would be moving to the north water puddle. If you lose a water puddle and you get routes that are east-west, there is a way to survive, but most party finder groups won't think to sacrifice a healer on one and stack everyone on another one. It's just, I wouldn't expect pugs to react to that quickly enough. Now, fun little trick here. You see that our summoner actually got hit by that phantom rune and they're being hysteria'd around the arena. Healers, you can actually use rescue to save them from walking off the edge. If they get hysteria'd, they're going to walk off the edge of the arena gradually. But you can see they're walking off to the distance. Healer pulls them back in, and that at least prevents a death. It won't work so well when it comes to the mist runes, but it's definitely better than anything going wrong. You should always try to rescue somebody if you see them hysteria'd and running off the side of the room. You saw another Roomite AoE. Here's another Phaelite. So here's what I wanted to see. Does he have Living Dead for this one? He does. All right, so Dark Knight can also eat both of the Phaelites. So Warrior can do it. Dark Knight can do it. I'd assume the other two tanks can't do it. I haven't been keeping track if 6 minutes is enough or 7 minutes is probably definitely not enough. But the Dark Knight and Warrior can eat too. Okay. That was something I just, honestly, I didn't check before the video started. Frost runes, again, these are the same as before. At this point, we're pretty much on rotation. I actually don't even really need to explain the fight much longer, which is good because you can hear I'm actually losing my voice as I'm in the middle of the video. But at this point, you've seen everything. We're going to get another Bright Sabbath. We're going to get another tether, which you can handle exactly the same way as the first one. And now I know that Gunbreaker can handle doing off tank here, like they can handle doing this 2 times in a row. So I'm gonna look at my Twitch chat. Paladin can Paladin do 2 sets of tethers here, or is Paladin the only job that can't do 2 sets of tethers? I guess I wasn't looking at the timing to see if it's been 7 minutes. Okay, so no, Paladin, the strategy will not work with the Paladin off tank, according to what my Twitch chat is saying. So Paladin can do both. Okay, somebody said no and somebody said yes. I'm gonna need more hard confirmations on that. They can eat the first one, but they cannot do the other one. If the Paladin takes the first 3, they have to take the last 3. Okay, so apparently Paladin can do it, but it gets reversed. So, like, if the Paladin does the first 3 on the first one, then for that second one, they have to do 4, 5, and 6 instead of 1, 2, and 3. So a little bit more in depth than I was expecting it to be. And yes, looking at the timer, that makes sense. If we go back, then the first tether happened, or the first tank tether happened. I guess I'll go back all the way to the first hit at 2 minutes and 24 seconds, it looks like. 23 seconds. 2 minutes, 23 seconds, and the second one happened at 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Oh, well, it's pretty close, but that was exactly 7 minutes apart. Oh, yeah, but it's the second one. No, yeah, those were literally exactly 7 minutes apart. We just looked at it in the middle of the video. 2:23, 9:23. That's like, it's like they knew. Sorry, we're losing track a little bit here at the end of the video, but I had to, something I should have definitely researched ahead of the little discussion we're doing right here, but I am just trying to kill time for that one. So, I'd definitely be a little bit, cautious, I suppose, with the Paladin one, since that looks to be a pretty tight timing for taking those 3 tethers right there. Other than that, at this point, we're on rotation. This is Growth Rune into the tethers itself. It's simple enough. But at this point, it's on rotation, so you have until about 11 to 11 and a half minutes. I think it's like 11:35 or something for the Enrage. And if you hit that, then you die. There's nothing else to say there. So kill her before you die. Best advice you could ever get. All right, so sorry for that. Again, it's a big apologies for this super informal style of walkthrough guide. It's also 10 p.m., which really isn't helping me for this one. But I know people really wanted an explanation of what was actually happening on screen, so I figured if this is the only way I can deliver it week 1, before I have the opportunity to deliver a guide, that's the best way that I could think to do it. So hopefully you've got an idea of how to approach it in the Party Finder. You've got a few options with a few different mechanics, whether it be the tether or the runes or any of the things that we mentioned here. So be a little bit flexible. It's still the first week, so I'm sure people are going to be tuning this and strategies are going to be a little bit conflicting in the Party Finder. Just work together, make sure everyone's on the same page, and everything should be fine. So, on that note, thanks for watching this video. I'll probably get the Innocence one done in the next day or 2. Plus, I have to do this for all of the dungeons as well prior to actually being able to do the guides for them. Apologies again. But be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And I'm going to get back to my 24/7 Twitch live stream that I've been doing. And best of luck to me. And best of luck to you guys in the Party Finder. Thanks for watching on YouTube, Twitch. Let's continue the stream. I'll see you guys next time. And until then,